So I'm gonna start this video straight away by just saying that this is like a little bit more targeted towards newer players to the Civ series, because I'm not an experienced player myself. This is just sort of my opinion on it. I mean, I put a couple hundred hours into Civ 5, but of course, such an expansive game, that's not a lot. So this is basically targeted towards like maybe players that haven't even played the game and just sort of want to know like a casual gamer's experience with the game. And so that's sort of what I'm going to do here. I'm going to talk a little bit about Civ 5, but not too much. And so what I've done is I've set up a basic game on, the standard difficulty, standard size map and all that. And so to show you the game a little bit, and as well as, explain my opinion on it, sort of where I stand on it, and where maybe casual players will fall, is this something that you could enjoy if you're, the console player, you play FPS and that sort of thing, because that's who I am, right? I play a lot of casual games. This is not my expertise, but I don't know, I took a liking to it and I really enjoy it, so I sort of want to give my opinion on it. That's what I'm going to do now. And I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the game, right? Just so you can see the substance of play. And then I'm gonna show you the beginning of the game right here, and then we're gonna go into a different save where I have like a finished game, so that you can see what the later stages of the game look like. So basically, when you start out in Civ 5, Civ 6, I'm sorry, I'm confusing the games already. You have a settler, which basically means the guy that that founds it's basically he establishes a city. This is that unit's that's what this unit does. And then we have a warrior, which is self-explanatory, right? So what we're gonna do real quick, just as the starting game, is start exploring, right? Because we have this is full of fog of war, and we want to reveal everything right here. So we're just gonna go ahead and find a nice spot to find our city. Now let's see, where do I want it? Now here's good, because I have a river, I have an ocean right there. And now this is an earth map, which means this is, Civ 6 has a lot of different maps, but now they've added an earth map, which basically means it looks like earth, and just by the shape of it, I know I'm in Europe, and this is obviously England, or at least I would think so, just looking at the geography of it. So I'm just gonna settle right here. And now I have my first city. And I know this may look a little bit boring to you if you're a casual player, but it really gets interesting, right? Like at first, I couldn't really get into it. I sort of downloaded it just because it was cheap on Steam, Civ 5. And then once you get into it, right, into that sort of role of playing this character and then playing your country or whatever, it really gets you on a roll. And it's really cool to see how things go. Now, each city has a production line, and basically what that means is you can create something. And so these are my options right now, because this is what I've researched, which is nothing, of course, but here we can choose a research. These are the different types of research, and then that allows you to create buildings, which gives the city, bonuses. It allows you to build more units, more, and that's how basically you advance through the technology tree to get to the later stages. And so here you can see that this is the Renaissance era, this is the industrial era, the modern era, etc. Here you can see you invent electricity, that sort of thing. And each civilization also does this. So basically it's a race to see who can get the better technology, because of course if you're fighting musketmen with infantrymen from World War II or something like that, that's not going to be a fair fight. So but basically what we're going to do is going to create a scout, because what we want to do is take a look at a bigger portion of the map, see where our enemies are at, which of course could be allies. That's you want to win, but making allies is a good way to do that. Although I tend to find myself in situations where I always end up at war with pretty much everybody. So let's see. What do we want to research? Now, animal. We got wheat right here, so let's do pottery because we can make a granary out of this. I think I don't know. I don't think my word on that, but I'm pretty sure. So this is a turn-based game, which means you take turns and then the other players go. Which of course we don't know who the other players are right now, but eventually we will start to face them. And start getting a little bit more into my opinion of it. I think, like I was saying before, it takes you by surprise that you like this, because especially if you're not like a PC player, strategy games always seem like a little bit out of reach, and it's actually quite well. I mean, it's quite complex, but the basics aren't that hard, right? You find a city, you start going around, and you figure all the other stuff out as you go along, right? All the different victory types and that sort of thing. And I think this game does a better job of being more accessible than Civ 5 did. And now, we're just gonna keep exploring, and we're gonna get a scout next turn, which I'm gonna just make, I'm gonna auto explore it. So she is set there, right? We're just gonna send it to auto explore, which if we click right here, basically means it's gonna explore on its own, and I don't have to be telling it go here, go there, like I'm doing with my warrior. Which, of course, this is also just an exploration. It's basically just to explore the world, while the warrior is more like a little bit of a, well, not more. It's a war. It's a war unit. Basically, you can go to war with this unit. And also with barbarians, as well as other countries or civilizations or whatever you want to call them. So now, since we just created that, we need to create something else. Now we could create a settler, which would basically mean another city founder. So somebody, another unit that could go around and make another city, and we could do that right now. But I'm actually not gonna do that. I'm gonna get a builder, and I'll explain a little bit more of that in a minute. Now there's better tutorials out there, so I'm not trying to be here like trying to exactly teach people how to play the game. I'm just trying to give you my opinion, especially if you're like a casual player, because I feel like a lot of opinions out there of Civ 6 are just sort of like using very difficult terminology, and so and it can be quite quite difficult to understand if you're not a Civ player, which is all what happened to me when I started to get into Civ 5. Right, I saw all these videos and stuff, but I couldn't really understand what people were talking about, because it's quite a complex game, especially when you start talking about culture victories. And I think it's just better to just start the game and start playing it, and eventually you'll get it. And it's really fun, and that's sort of my main driving point here. And of course I have criticisms of it, especially with the AI, which at first just seems like, what the hell? It's very difficult, right? But once you get the hang of it, you can see they're quite stupid. They don't make like logical decisions very much, but it's still one heck of a game, and that's sort of what I'm trying to get through in this video, right? Just sort of show you that it's not as inaccessible as it seems. And that it's actually quite fun, And especially if you're a casual player, don't be afraid of this game. You're gonna have a hell of a time, and that's sort of my opinion, right? On it is, it can be quite difficult to get into, but once you do, man, it's a lot of fun. So now let's see, what else do we wanna, let's do, we could build a plant station. Let's see, what about, I mean, I don't have any mining resources. You can see. Oh wait, I can make a plantation out of that wine. So let's do that. Oh, I guess I could have also. Well, I could have gone for sale, which I could still do. Let's see. Yeah, let's do sailing. Now we're waiting for the worker, and I'll explain a little bit more about workers when we get there. But basically, my opinion of it, that what I want to get across about it is that if you're not a strategy game player, this is like quite, low level difficulty game, right? There's some very intense games out there, strategy games, and this is sort of like a good place to start. And you may think you're not interested because I didn't, but once I started playing it, I was like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. And it's just a really fun game. Now, I'm not gonna get into the whole, how the government works, because then again, I don't want to make this into sort of a tutorial. I'm just trying to explain the very simple concepts. And I guess the simplest way I can put it is just, if you like war games, you like Call of Duty and all that, maybe this is not first person, but it's still, you're not in the action, but once you get to war with people, you have all these sort of units and this whole army, and it gets really fun. And so what I wanted to do mainly in this video was show you that this is what you start with, right? I don't even know any of the other civilizations, which they're also very bare bones, right? They're just like me. But once you meet all those other civilizations and that sort of stuff, it gets really fun, and that's what I'm sort of gonna show you now. I'm gonna go into a late stage game, right? A game that I already finished and sort of lost and then won, whatever. That's like a whole thing. I'll explain it when I get there. And then I guess I sort of said that I was going to explain the workers. I'm going to do that. Basically, the worker improves this style so that this produces more food, and food allows you to have a bigger city, basically, which is this number right here. And the bigger your city, the higher its defenses, and the more things it can produce, etc., etc. So, but I'm just trying to show you how cool the game can be, especially for like a player that sees this as a strategy game and it's like, how cool it can be. And so that this is what I'm going to show you now. I wanted you to see now. Here I'm using a different leader, so I'm Norway in this case. I wanted you to see the bare bones civilizations, right? So how you start from nothing, and that seems pretty boring, especially when you start out. You're like, well, fuck, I don't want to be this. Basically, it's not even a country, right? You don't even feel like a country, but I'm gonna show you now what it can turn into. And so yeah, so as you can see here, this game I already finished, and I basically took over the world. The whole blue and red, that's my country, right? So this whole thing right here is my country, and it started just like the previous one I was showing you guys, which it started here, right? Just a little city right there, and it turned into this whole massive thing. And basically this was like my mortal enemy, because, and then again, this game just transforms itself into stories, right? Really cool stories, right? Like at the beginning of the game, I started getting pretty big, and then my major two enemies were the Arabians and then the Congo, because they were like at either side of me, right? The Congo's down here. They had like, I think up to here was theirs. Yeah, up to here. And then the Arabians were up to here, up to Baghdad, and then I invaded this, right, like in, like a lot of time ago, right, like in the, I think it was Vikings what I was using to invade, so now I have jets, right, all sorts of tanks and military units. So basically I invaded them, which made them angry, and because of course I invaded them, and then it made the Congo angry because they thought of me as a warmonger. And then there's another there, I don't remember, I think it's Cleopatra. She also didn't like it. Obviously not important anymore since she's extinct, but I sort of, I invaded them. I wanted to play the really aggressive type of game, but everybody got mad at me and they sort of invaded me, and then I went on a really heavy war with the Congo, right? Because they were like, nah, we're not gonna stand for you just invading places. And we went on a really fucking war, and this was then again in the Vikings age, but they were making a lot more science than me, and like I said, science helps you fight weaker units. So I was using Vikings, and they were using like musketmen, and at first that wasn't the case, but once they got that technology, they pretty much rolled right through me, and I had to give up 2 of my cities, up to Skyet or however you say that, Skian. And basically I was only these 3 cities. No, I'm sorry, this 3, right? Or this, I think this one did 6, where I was 3 cities. So I started expanding towards this side because I was like, they're gonna fuck me, right? The Congo had, we were in a peace treaty, but they had like a lot more military units. They had like the ocean full of submarines by the late game, and so that's why I started building my army once I got my economy established. And then I got one heck of an army, and I wanted them with. I mean, they still have a pretty big army compared to mine. That's why you see this right here, because I basically nuked the shit out of them, right? I was like, well, fuck, I'm gonna lose if I just go out straight their military forces against my military forces. So I just nuked the fuck out of them. And as you can see, I have a pretty big army right here, all these units right here. And but they had more, right? And that's how I won. And then after that, I basically won the game because nobody else could stand a military as big as mine. But that's a very fun story. That's sort of what I wanted to chant for this video, is that this is a game that looks simple at first, but it really isn't. It looks simple and boring because you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Move my 1 unit? Now, my turn probably would, if I were to move every unit, it would take me an hour because I have so many fucking units, right? The ocean's full of fucking submarines. I have all sorts of that's my navy, of course. I have all sorts of land units. I have a huge air force, which, as you can see here, I have seven planes here, another plane here. Probably have other planes all around. I don't know where else I have planes, but I definitely have some more planes. I have 4 more planes here. I have another plane here, right? And I just sort of wanted to show you how cool it could be and how complex it could get, right? But that's why you start at the beginning, right? So that this doesn't overwhelm you. And this, of course, the cities get very complex, and I have all sorts of buildings helping me out. And yeah, I guess this is more about the Civ series in general than it is about Civ 6, because I didn't really compare it to Civ 5 or anything. But then again, I sort of wanted to target this at people who haven't played the game and maybe see it as a sort of an overwhelming. They see this and they're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? That's why you start at the beginning. But then they go to the beginning and it gets frustrated because you're like, well, this is not that very interesting, but this is how interesting it can get. So that's sort of basically what I wanted to just give that opinion on this video, and that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching if you did, and yeah, I'll see you next time.